Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the final episode of the podcast. This is episode 5, and today it is going to be just me, and we are going to talk about the 2 dimensions and the 5 qualities of media naturalness. Naturalness. So let's start off with the dimensions. I'll give like a quick summary of each one, and then I'll give an example and give some personal feedback with what I've dealt with in my life with this. So up first we have the cues or the sensory information dimension. We call it the space-time in class. This dimension focuses on types and amount of sensory information provided by the medium. Media, with its high naturalness, provides multiple sensory cues like visual, auditory, stuff like that. That mimics face-to-face communication, such as video calls or in-person interactions. So an example I wrote down was face-to-face interactions offer both visual and auditory cues, which makes them highly natural. So visual, body languages, facial expressions, and then auditory is tone of voice and the pitch. It just makes it for a natural conversation. So obviously, we've all experienced this before. If you've ever talked to another human being in your life, you have experienced this dimension. So I would say if I was talking to one of my friends, I would fluctuate my voice, going up and down, based on if I'm starting a thought or ending a thought, stuff like that. And then obviously my body language, if I'm flailing my arms around, I'm probably either looking for attention or freaking out. And then my facial expressions, I hope they give good examples and stuff like that. So let's move on to the second one, which is the expressive or perceptual dimension, which is basically like asynchronous versus synchronous. This dimension refers to the timing of communication. So with synchronous, the timing interactions such as a phone or video call is generally more natural because it allows for like a more immediate feedback and responses, similar to like face to face, but it's online. And then asynchronous provides more time to send back responses, but the immediacy of the flow of the conversation, it feels a lot less natural. If you're emailing your professor and you're waiting for a response, unless they are on their email ready to respond right away, it still won't be as fast as face-to-face communication. So an example I wrote down for this is a live video call allows back and forth conversation in real time, while an email delays. Like I was saying before, the immediacy of the conversation is stalled if it is asynchronous, because obviously when you're face to face, it's quick responses or hi, how's it going? Hey, I'm doing good. And yeah. So let's move on to the 5 qualities of media naturalness. So we'll start off with number 1, which is immediacy. It refers to how fast you get feedback in a communication exchange. And we already made an example of that. So we'll move on to the second one, which is social presence. This quality refers to the sense of just being there in the conversation with another person. It's a key aspect to natural communication. Higher social presence a higher social presence means the medium allows individuals to feel like they're truly present with each other. So an example of that, always going to be an example, video calls can create a higher social presence compared to texting or Snapchats or anything written words are exchanged. It's just how the brain works, and it's how internet works. You can't send a message and immediately get a response back unless that person is there ready to respond. And even then, it could take them a while to think about that, which with face-to-face, you're having a normal conversation with someone and they usually respond pretty quick. Number 3, the richness quality. This refers to the amount of diversity of sensory information. So sight, sound, touch. That's the medium that can be conveyed. And so the quote-unquote rich media, they're considered a more natural media because they provide a full range of sensory inputs. So an example of this, face-to-face communication. But it could also be, say, a TikTok video, offering body language, facial expressions, tone of voices, and gestures. This can all be portrayed in a video about something, or in a dance or something online. Obviously, you won't get an immediate response, and you probably won't get a response unless someone comments on it. But it is there, the richness, the body language, the facial expressions, tone of voice, gestures, all that. Then we got the interactivity, which is number 4. This is the degree to which communication allows for a mutual participation with the back and forth exchange. More interactive media tends to feel more natural because of this. They resemble the dynamics of real life conversations. So an example is a phone call or a video conference is much more interactive than reading a pre-written email, A lot of these are just asynchronous versus synchronous. So for the last one, we have embodiment. This refers to how much the medium allows you to express yourself physically. So your gestures, your body movements. Media can allow that by just showing your body expression through dance, or slapping someone on camera to show that you're mad at them, or something like that. An example I put down was face-to-face communication. Obviously allows for a full embodiment, the gestures, the facial expressions. But when you're texting people, it limits your communication. If you've ever gotten a text message from someone and it has an abbreviated word, or I forgot what they're called. It's like LOL, or the abbreviated laugh out loud. Some people don't understand that. An example from my life is I text like this, and it's just like small things like BTW, by the way, and I'll text it to my mom, and she'll have no idea what I'm talking about. She'll be like, "What is BTW?" And by the way, and she just will have a good chuckle about that. So I wrote down a few questions for myself based on each quality of media naturalness. So number 1, immediacy. How does receiving an instant response in a conversation, or like in a video chat, make it feel more natural? It's just the flow of the conversation. It's how humans perceive a fast and common, natural conversation is just through face-to-face or video call. Just that immediate response is what we look for in a conversation. Moving on to number 2, social presence. How does seeing and hearing the other person, like in a video call, make you feel more present in the conversation? Obviously, you're there. Maybe over a video call you feel distance. I know during COVID, a lot of people were so sad that they weren't able to see their friends, but that face-to-face communication through a video call really helped some people cope with the fact that they couldn't see their friends. I think it helps you feel more present, obviously, because you can see all of their interactive body language and their rich tone and stuff like that. So I think that answers the next few questions that I wrote down. How does body language and tone affect it? How does being able to talk back and forth? It all comes down to the natural human response to conversations, which is face to face. Texting has taken over the world, and it still probably will in the future with virtual reality and AI coming out. But you can't beat the face-to-face conversation, like the values that you get from that, if you know what I'm talking about. You are a human, and you need human interaction to survive, truly. So, food for thought. So, with media and its capabilities, we can talk about the parallelism to being able to talk face to face and talking online. Obviously, every person is different and can take so much social interaction in their life versus other people. I myself am very extroverted, and I love talking to people, and I love having long and, I don't want to say arduous, that's the first word that popped into my mind, long and meaningful conversations with people. But I know other people who can only have a limited amount of social interaction with people, so they probably prefer texting over face-to-face communication. I, for one, have preferred texting at some point in my life. When I was a kid, I didn't think of myself as the best looking person, so I would text people, and that would be the only form of communication that I would allow people to have outside of school. But then as I grew up, obviously, I became more open to the fact of who I am, and it opened up my world to being who I am today. I love having conversations with people, and I said in my last podcast, my main goal in a conversation with someone is at some point getting them to crack a smile, because it's just so meaningful, and something that I look forward to every day is trying to make someone else smile. So that's what I try to do in my day-to-day life. But then again, for someone else, that could be a completely different thing where they don't want social interaction, and it could lead to them not wanting any after they get some. So, yeah. Again, going back to what Luke said in, I think it was number 3, the anonymity of it all is like being anonymous. It helps some people just be who they are without people seeing who they are. And that could be a good or a bad thing. Obviously, it could be a great thing if that is what you're comfortable with, your comfortability level. It could also be a bad thing because there's no face to the name, so you feel like you are invincible with what you are saying. So again, there's a give and pull there. That's the same thing. A take and pull. That's what I was trying to say. So we're wrapping things up here, but I do want to talk about one more thing. This is different ways that we can impact our way of communicating. And online, there's a persistence to it, how easily you can delete the communication that you put out. I know on Snapchat, if you have Snapchat Premium or Plus or whatever it is today, you can delete messages that you sent out before someone even sees it. Obviously, you can't do that in a face-to-face conversation. You can't just say, "Oh, I didn't mean to say that. Forget what I said," and then Men in Black pen flash them. But there's also visibility. How easy it is to find information about you online. I look up my name, and the entire first page is all my stuff. And I do have to say that's probably because of the class that I'm in with online journalism. But it also comes from me being in a lot of stuff that involves social media. Yeah, so wrapping things up, I think the two dimensions of media naturalness, the space dimension, the space-time zone dimension, where you're having space between you guys, both audio and visual cues, stuff like that, and the asynchronous versus synchronous. It's really just boils down to being a human and needing that human interaction with a conversation. So yeah. I hope you guys learned something from this, and I am always happy to do a podcast. I do like the interview style, where I can bounce off of someone instead of just relying on myself rambling the whole time. But this was fun. I appreciate this being an assignment that I am able to do and enjoy. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in the near future. Bye-bye.